Good morning, everybody. Happy June 1st. June is busting out all over the meadows and the fields as the young Virginia creepers keep grabbing the bejeepers. Do, 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 do. Because it's June, 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 just because it's June, June, June. Anyway, happy Tuesday, June 1st, 2021 to all of you. And life is looking pretty good right now. I was reflecting back on my trip, and I'm going to do a special video about what worked and what didn't work on my recent travels and adventures, which was a combination of boondocking and then, of course, a separate trip combining that with overnighting. I think it was probably 3 nights in 2 nights. Yeah, I think 3 nights in Ensenada down there. I learned a lot of things. I was reflecting back on my trip and thinking about RVing and the big threat to RVing right now. And, of course, fuel prices are kind of given as I'm recording this morning. I see West Texas Intermediate crude oil is just under $69 a barrel, and it has been in a steady uptrend for quite a while. Where it will come out, I'm not sure at the end of it. Big problem is to fight the pandemic and the almost total stoppage of business, at least in everything except the most non-essential business. The Fed pumped untold trillions of dollars of most of it newly created money into printed money into the economy. And we're finally, so there's a long time between when the Fed does something and the Federal Reserve and the Treasury do things and the effect is felt in the economy. There's a long lag time there. And we're just starting to see the results of that now with inflation kicking in and higher prices because, a free market, the invisible hands, it may take time, but they always readjust themselves. They always readjust the situation. Meaning if there's too much funny money out there, then prices rise accordingly until they reach a point where they offset the additional purchasing power that was gained by printing money, and you end up kind of chasing your tail doing the same thing over and over again. But it works in the short term, but in the long term, standards of living decline as things get more expensive. But I don't want to get off the rails here. Fuel prices is a definite concern when it comes to RVing. A lot of these RVs get anywhere from 5 to 12 miles to the gallon for some of the big ones. You couple it up with a big truck if you're doing a bumper pull or a fifth wheel, and it's taking a lot of money to stay on the road. And in some cases, 100-gallon tanks to fill up are costing over $300, or here in California, well over $400 to fill up. That starts to impinge on things, and it really starts to affect the economics of travel in an RV. But I think it's interesting that we know that aspect of it. We don't know when that's going to end, but I can tell you I saw a lot less RVs on the road that were in motion on my last trip than I saw back in February, March when I was out traveling on the road. So I know there's less RVs out there, and I think fuel prices are a part of that. Which leads me to Part B. Where are they gone? Well, I've said a couple of years ago that opening an RV park is a very difficult proposition with a lot of zoning boards because most people want to open RV parks where there's sights to see. Maybe there's beach towns like Pismo, tourist attraction places where people want to go. They don't want to go out in the middle of the desert unless you're a retiree really with no money and you want to sit out in, somewhere out in the Mojave Desert with 8 or 10 other RVs for $200 a month to park it there. You want to be someplace where there's stuff to see. And the closer you get into those type of tourist attractions, the more difficult it is to bring capacity online for those type of places. I can't think of the last time I've seen a new RV park a new trailer park open up. It's very, I think it's very difficult zoning wise because a lot of people don't want those type of parks because of the transient traffic and the people, and they all dream of Fridays and Saturday nights at the RV park with bikinis, Budweisers, and crazy people going nuts because it's not their home. They can act act as zany as they want to be. I had that thought for a while that it's difficult, and I knew the price would go up a couple years ago when I was doing San Diego and touring around San Diego RV park. They were already like $90 a night to just park your RV at this San Diego RV Mission Bay RV down there. And that's a lot of money when you multiply that out by a week. You're talking about just under, if it's 6 nights, you're talking about with tax and all, in over $600. And I kind of thought this is going to be, this is like the choke point. This is like the bottleneck of RVing. You have a lot of RVs that were sold, and now when people go to put them on the road, even to go to a point, not to be continuously in motion like I am going different places, but even to park someplace for a week or so, they're paying out massive dollars to the point that in a place like San Diego, it's almost cheaper to just stay in a hotel on Hotel Circle than it is, not a fancy hotel, than it is to be at an RV park. I had this thought, and then I met Mr. W down at Pismo Beach, and I asked him, what's the #1 challenge for being a nomad, being a traveler? And he confirmed what I thought. You can hear him state on the video meeting Mr. W. He stated that the #1 problem is you used to be able to roll up to places like campsites, RV parks, and they could always find a place to stick in. Not the case these days. Some of these places are booked out in advance now, and it really makes it quite difficult. So we put gasoline on top of it, and I don't know. If we keep moving up the price of diesel fuel and gasoline, I'm thinking that you're going to see a lot of parked RVs and stationary rigs parked on homes or lots, storage lots and places like that. It's almost inevitable. We saw that in the early days when Winnebago was building RVs in the early 70s, and then bam, all of a sudden the energy crisis hit and fuel prices went nuts, and the impact was incredible on RVing, and then the RV manufacturers went into a huge dive and only recently really came out slowly in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and then we boomed up with the pandemic. So it's going to be interesting to see. So in my mind, it equals that there's going to be some values appearing. There's going to be some people that need to sell or want to sell their RVs. So I think if I hang on a bit longer, the ice, the frozen ice of nothing available will thaw out. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. But for now, that's what I see as the biggest threat to RVs. 2 of them. That choke point of places that you can go and in comfort park your RV. Now, of course, I'm on boondocking, and I'll park as I have before, right in the front of the mayor of Reno's house, and but I have a high degree of stealth. But when you're pulling a fifth wheel or a Class A, you don't have that. High degree of stealth there. So you really are kind of forced to go into those campgrounds and those parks. So it's making it exceedingly difficult with a lot of lead times and a lot of expense now. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. I've been having this thought for a couple of years now, especially about the choke point of not enough places to put RVs and things, at least in places that people want to go and see. Tourist locations, beaches, places of historical interest, national parks, monuments. So we shall see. Anyway, happy Tuesday to all of you. What are your thoughts down below? What do you think the biggest threats to travel are here? I'd be interested in hearing your feedback on my contentions about choke points and where to go, as well as where you think fuel prices are gone. Thumbs up are appreciated, and thanks for watching, everybody.